Okay, Matt, get it out of your system.
What are you talking about? I'm good. I'm good.
Come on.
I'm good. I'll be good.
All right, folks, today we're going to talk about fret nippers.
A nipper? I barely know her.
All right, folks, welcome to Driftwood Guitars. My name's Chris. Behind the camera is Matt, as always. Today, I wanted to do a quick little video and talk about fret and nipping. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it is the process of actually taking the fret end and putting that ledge on it. And the reason why you would need to do that is because more and more people are doing bound fretboards. So we actually do the nip on there so that the fret end can lay on top of the binding, and in this particular case, as well as the pearl. If we just had a standard unnipped fret end, it obviously doesn't have anywhere to go. So what I kind of realized was that I have 4 different tools that I've used over the years on doing this, and it might be a good way to show you guys the 4 different ways that you can go about doing it and talk about pros and cons, which tools work best, and what your budgets may be. So with that, we're gonna go through a list of those items. All right, for the purposes of this video, I know that we'll have 100 questions, is what kind of fret wire am I using? So this is Luthier Mercantile International's EVO Gold fret wire that I have been using forever. It is, I just had to go look it up. It is an alloy that's kind of right between their nickel/silver alloy fret wire. It's harder than that, but it's slightly softer than their stainless steel. It's actually a copper based is what gives it its gold look. It's all I've used on my guitars since pretty much Jump Street. It's fantastic fret wire, seems to last just as long as stainless steel, but you can actually use a lot more different types of tooling to work it. And with that said, I want to talk about the very first and most affordable way of actually doing your fret and nipping, and that is just to use a relatively affordable fine-tooth file. This one here happens to be a Nicholson brand one that I got probably 12 years ago. I don't even remember where I bought it. It has just been like kind of my go-to file that I use for everything. It is a triangular shaped file and it works well. You could use a square one or a rectangular shaped one for the same task. But it's just, it's been kind of kicking hiney for me for a long time. So I'll show you how I go about doing that. The upside to using a file like this is that it can kind of take on anything you throw at it. It could do nickel based, it could do stainless steel, it can do the EVO Gold stuff really well. And it's nice, cheap, and easy, and it doesn't require a whole lot of learning curve, and you could go to your local hardware store and buy one of these. No problem there. A way that I make this work is I actually come in here on my workbench, I take the end of this file, and I put a little groove. And that little groove is what I'm going to use to lock my fret wire in so that it doesn't slide back and forth. And then I'm going to let it overhang as much as I need it to overhang, depending on how thick my binding is. And I can come in here and just start knocking it down. And there it is, just about. So that is it. We've got that really knocked down really nicely. Hopefully we get it good on camera. I'm going to move it just a little bit for you.
Yeah, thanks.
So this is, you can see how quick that was. That was really fast. It can get kind of tedious as you start to do, 22 frets. So you got 44 fret ends to nip as you do both sides. It can get a little tedious. Nice thing is it's repeatable. It just takes a little bit of time to do. Probably took me, what, I don't know, 15 seconds, if that, to do one fret end. A downside to it is that it can be a little bit inconsistent. You're not able to measure exactly how much of that fret overhang you're doing. It's a little bit more kind of just freestyle. So that is the easiest, simplest, and cheapest way of doing that. So the second tool that you can use and that I would recommend, and the slightly more expensive tool, is actually this little nipping tool that's designed specifically for nipping metal. It's made by a company called Klein, but we just looked online and it turns out that actually they no longer produce this thing. And so StewMac, this is where I originally bought this from, was StewMac a long time ago. They've actually replaced it with what they're calling their fret and nipping tool. And it seems like it's just a little bit beefier version of this, but I think that the process is exactly the same. So what's really cool about this tool is that it gives you a lot more control. It's very, very quick. The disadvantage to it is that it actually can't handle stainless steel. So this tool comes in at about $40, $35 to $40, so it's slightly more expensive, but still incredibly affordable. And I would probably recommend this to just about anybody, even if this is your first time doing a bound fretboard, just because the boundary to entry is pretty low. So I'll show you how we go about doing that. We actually don't even have to go over to the workbench. You just stick your fret wire in. Let's see if Matt can see it all in here. There's a little ledge right here. Is it getting all that?
Yeah.
There's a little ledge. You slide your fret wire in. You kind of guess what the height you need to do it, and you squeeze it. Boom. And now we've got a nipped fret end, which is really cool. Now, you'll notice that this is not absolutely perfectly clean. So what ends up happening with this, and I would say another slight disadvantage, is that the last thing that we need to do is come back over to the same spot we were just at with our file and just clean it up a little bit. Just give it a couple of really light passes. Let me just show you in real time. So that's it. I mean, it was way easier than using just the file on its own. So that's, for years, that's actually how I did it. I would use this tool, the Klein nipper, give it its quick cut, and then I would just clean it up with this, and it saved me quite a bit of time. So that is the second thing that you can use. Okay, so the third tool that you can use, and this is a brand new tool by StewMac that I actually just got and did my first guitar with, I think a couple of weeks ago, is the Deluxe Fret Tang nipper. And this thing is just super cool. It's an $80 tool. It gives you the advantages of the nipper where I can actually adjust the length of the tang that I want to knock off. And it also can cut literally anything. It can cut stainless steel, nickel, the EVO wire, and it does it very well and leaves just almost a minimal amount of cleanup. So I'll have Matt come in here and I'll show you. This piece up here, this upper section, is actually adjustable, and I can slide it to the left or to the right to actually dial in the amount of tang that I want. So it's super repeatable. I will slide my fret wire in, squeeze it, and boom, we're done. It's that friggin' easy. And the amount of cleanup that's required is real minimal. So we can come over here and actually just knock it down real fast. And boom, it's pretty much done that quickly. What I like about it, my favorite feature on it is the ability for me to be able to accurately dial in the length of the fret tang, and that's just something that's really nice because sometimes I'm doing bound fretboards with just a piece of maple, other times I'm doing it with both maple and abalone, and I need a larger ledge. And the fact that I don't have to worry about what the composition of the fret wire material is, I can just cut it, no big issue. Highly recommend this tool, $80. If you are even doing this on like an amateur kind of more serious hobby level, I would highly recommend getting these ones from StewMac. All right, the fourth and final way that I want to show you guys how you can actually go about doing this is using LMI's Fret Tang Filer, which is a more complex way of doing it, but the upside to it is it kind of does it all in one foul swoop. It does the filing of it and cutting the ledge of it in a repeatable way every single time. It can also do any alloy. It can do stainless steel, it can do nickel, it can do the EVO gold. The downside to it is that the setup just takes a little bit longer, so I would like to show you how I go about doing this. Actually, my wife got this for me for Christmas last year, and it's been pretty great. It's been super great. So what you want to do is come over to your workbench, and if you're a barbarian like me, you're actually just going to screw this thing right into the workbench. I have spots normally. I don't normally do it right here on this workbench, but where I keep it screwed in. You're gonna knock her in. You could use clamps, I guess. All right, the cool thing is now it's not going anywhere. So check this out. So there's a file, there's actually a file that's already kind of clamped into place right here, which is super cool. This thing right here holds down the fret, and you can adjust how much clamping pressure you want on it. And you're gonna set your fret down inside there, and you actually can adjust how much of an overhang you have, which is nice, which is repeatable. And then all you do is you come over here, boom, and it's done already. And you can see, not only is it got a nice ledge, but there's no cleanup required. It's ready to go, it's done. The fret end is nice and clean and ready to be pressed in. So this is a $120 tool, but in my opinion, if you do a lot of fret work, like, it's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. And the nice thing is you can just find a spot on your workbench where you can just keep it permanently installed and it's ready to go, which makes it a lot nicer. So once again, the 4 options are to use just your standard fine tooth file for anywhere between probably $10 and $25. Then you could use some sort of Klein metal nipper, which, like I said, they no longer make these, but you can find them on eBay. You can find them probably at your local hardware store. And if not, then you would actually go over to StuMac, where they sell the replacement for this, which is $50, and it's just their standard fret nipper. And then the third option being the Deluxe fret nipper, which is something that you would use if you're doing a lot of quick production work and you need to be able to cut stainless steel, and you also want to have that ability to dial in your length of your fret tang end. The fourth option being the LMI file tool, which is fantastic as well. So I think it just depends on what you're doing. How much money do you want to spend? How much accuracy do you want? How much repeatability do you want? I have all 4, and it's funny because sometimes I switch between them and they work really well. I think the one thing that you will notice is that it's always good to just have a good, trusty file that you can have on hand to do this. And I think that'll about do it. I just wanted to give you a quick little insight into some tools and how you can use them and what is out there. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one, folks. Thanks so much.